Yo, welcome into another episode of Between the Hedges. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. We appreciate all the love that we've been getting. I know we've got one of uh, our video that just went up a few days ago. It's approaching 100 views, so thank y'all so much. That's exciting. If we get the first one over the century mark, that's a beginning. So we appreciate y'all's support out there. How are you doing tonight, Dad?
I'm good. I'm good. Ready to talk about some UGA football and then the national championship stuff coming on tomorrow night.
Yep, definitely exciting, although it's kind of bittersweet. Season's coming to an end, but the off season is upon us, and we can kind of start there because Georgia's off season's already officially begun after the throttling of Florida State that we mentioned last time and the time before. So,
I
uh,
think Georgia just scored again.
yeah, I think that just came across the bottom ticker there. Georgia scores again, and could still be scoring if they really wanted to. So, um, sorry, Florida State, but not sorry at the same time.
Next time, get your players to show up. It
Um,
still wouldn't have made a difference, but you can have them show up, at least look respectable.
right, right. So, let's get a an update here on who is returning for the Dogs. It gives us some experience coming back, which I think is going to be key. We're going to have another, I think, kind of 50-50 split on upperclassmen, lowerclassmen, which usually most teams do, but every so often you'll have a heavy um, lean one way or the other. So it'll be another balanced team as far as upperclassmen and underclassmen. So what's our update there? I know we've got Mr. Tate
Well,
Ratledge coming back.
well, it the first one to officially put out news that he was returning for an extra year using his extra. We still have players using COVID years, believe it or not. But Nazir Stackhouse, he's a big defensive lineman, our nose guard, 6'3", 320-pounder that plugs up the middle for us. All returning all SEC second teamer. He announced that he was coming back, and then shortly thereafter that, he was joined by redshirt junior Tate Ratledge, offensive lineman, and senior Xavier Truss, who's another offensive lineman. Um, so two with those two returning, I think Georgia's set to have four of their five offensive linemen returning from this team last year, which that was a strength of ours. So that's good news. And I guess the last remaining uh, one we're waiting to hear a definite answer on is defensive lineman Warren Brinson. He's he hasn't officially, the last I heard, at least the last I've checked, he has not officially come out and announced one way or another. I think the feeling is that he is trending towards coming back one final year. So those guys will just most of them were starters either on the offensive or defensive lines. And let's be honest, in the SEC, you can't have enough offensive and defensive war daddies, to win the trench battles. So it's good news. Even if we've got younger players primed and ready to take over and, get more and more playing time, it never hurts to have these guys with experience and leadership on your team. So that was some good news on the football front for returning guys. And then we also had the wide receiver from USC. His name might sound familiar to a lot of people my age, Michael Jackson.
It's a very
So
good name.
yeah, he's committed to, transfer out of the portal from USC to UGA. So that's another wide receiver addition. It's going to be interesting. Even with the three portal additions on wide receiver, we still will have less scholarship wide receivers on our team this year as it stands right now, as opposed to last year. I think one less. I think last year we carried 13. I was reading in the article where released that Michael Jackson committed. There was 13 last year, and with him we've now got 12 scholarship receivers. So there is another portal um, open window coming after spring practice. So there's a possibility we could still add someone else, I guess. But it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. And I mean, our wide receiver room is just really, really stacked. I mean, um, I think that's definitely going to be a strength on our offense um, for next season in 2024. So I'm excited to see how it all works out. And, of course, and this guy made mention of the fact, or in the article I read, that Carson Beck returning was probably the deciding factor in him deciding to join with UGA because of the season he saw Carson Beck have.
Well, if you're a top receiver, which he is, he was very highly recruited, coming out of high school and then ended up going to USC. Obviously, USC has a long history of producing really good NFL wide receivers. The last um, Drake London for the Falcons. You can say what you want about the Falcons, but Drake's actually been a bright spot when he's gotten the ball and been productive this season. So, yeah, heck, if I had a chance to play with somebody like Carson Beck who could spin it like that, I would be tickled too. So,
Yep,
um,
definitely.
that would be I did play a little wide receiver myself, so that would be a dream come true to have a guy like that throwing the ball my way. So, um, definitely exciting news. A lot of experience. All this to me just signals, Georgia's not going anywhere. We're running it back with a lot of our guys. I know we had a lot transfer out and a lot go to the draft, but there's still a lot of depth on this roster, and it's just going to continue to show moving forward. So,
Well, it's nothing different than hadn't happened the last two seasons. I mean, the last 2 years after each of those national championships, we had a bunch of guys declare go to the NFL draft. We set a record that one year. I think the record's 15 players drafted in one draft. So we set the record one year for that, and we've had a bunch of guys transfer out, because they didn't see a path to playing time because of
mhm.
our, depth and the studs that were in front of them or either that were coming in, So it's just new year, but rinse and repeat, and people come, people go. It's the new way of college football. That's the way you gotta be an expert in roster management. Balance the guys coming in, going out. What are your strengths? Where are you weak? You can augment your weaknesses through the portal. That's one of the best things about the portal is that if you have a bunch of guys leave and you feel like you need some help in a certain area, there's plenty of players out there in that portal that could probably help you.
You could get some experience there too, not just
Yep.
bringing in an 18-year-old. I mean, obviously, Kirby does a really good job, him and his staff, developing guys, but it takes time, right? If you're wanting to have a quick impact, you hit that portal and you've got a 4 or 5 year starter sometimes in there, a lot of times. So very, very exciting. Um, look forward to uh, this upcoming season. Look forward to the spring just to see how the roster starts to shake out finally. And I'm glad to welcome in everybody that's new. Uh, welcome to Athens. I hope you enjoy it, and just ready to roll. Not ready for the season to end, but I wish we could just roll right into the next. But we're gonna have a little break here, so um, and
Well,
it
at least
all
as far as
ends.
football games go, there's still plenty to that's going on with spring practice and, summer workouts and then fall camp and, you know, like I said, another portal open window. So there'll be plenty to talk about between now and then. There always is. It's like the NFL, their calendar goes year round. There's something to talk about almost year round with the NFL.
You know,
And before we
and
move on to the national championship discussion
yeah,
between Michigan and Washington, I just want to give a little shout out to our Georgia basketball team. They're now, I think, 11-3 on this season. So they're
won
having
9 in a row.
9 in a row. And so they've started the season out just about as well as you could have hoped. Coach White's got those guys playing hard. And they opened the SEC slate with a win at Missouri. And if I'm not mistaken, Missouri was a NCAA tournament team last year. So, and they went up there and led the majority of that game and withstood a ferocious run by Missouri. I watched a good bit of it. It was an interesting, fun game to watch. But yeah, we start out 1-0 in the SEC. Hopefully, good things follow for the basketball guys.
Yeah, I'm always excited about anything UGA, and we'll be sure to mention it, no matter what sport. Uh, Also, shout out to the girls soccer team. They won the SEC this year and made a deep tournament run before getting knocked out by Iowa. So that was a big deal because that's their first time ever winning the conference. So just a lot of good things going on here in Athens the last few years. Things are just trending up, and give a lot of credit to the AD first and foremost for going out there and snatching Kirby and snatching Mike White from Florida. Those were two big hires. And then just he just definitely knows how to run the sports programs. So good job there. Well done. Everything is trending up and just very exciting here in Athens. But let's transition now to the national championship and the culmination of this 2023 season, with the Washington Huskies taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Um, my initial thoughts on this, when might I add, I predicted this. I got this matchup right. So after me thinking, okay, well, good job, you predicted this right. Now, who wins, right? Who wins
Yeah,
this game?
that's the ultimate question, right?
You've
And
got,
and for me, I know who I want to win and who I think might actually win may not be the same. So,
and
um,
I'm kind of feeling the same way a little bit. I, this is the third matchup, by the way, of undefeateds in the playoff era for the national championship. So, um, a little bit of history there. It's not normal to get two undefeateds. It's not like the BCS where, you just had to run the table and you were playing for a national championship. I mean, it
well,
hasn't always
that
worked.
plays to why Georgia didn't even make it, really, is that there were three really undefeated teams made it through the regular season and the championship round, the conference championship weekend. Three, you don't normally have that many teams go undefeated. Then you had, one loss Texas, one loss Alabama that were both conference champions ahead of one loss Georgia, who was not a conference champion. So anyway, it's just a unique year all the way around. So
This felt more like a BCS year to me, just because. you did have so many teams run the table. And such felt like more parity this season than most. But just getting back to this matchup, so and who my initial thought was who wins, right? Michigan opened as a 3.5 point favorite on a neutral field. Okay, so that basically means at home they'd be favored by a touchdown, and at Washington it would be a pick 'em game, right? So Vegas obviously thinks that Michigan is the better, more complete team, which I think I would agree with. But what I'm having trouble with is, dang, just Penix is just playing out of his mind.
He
And
did in that
and
semifinal game, at least. I mean, he was on the money
and
with
Texas could
his.
not
They didn't
rattle
have an
him.
answer for him, you know. Even though they fought back and they had a chance to tie and or win that game, you know, at the very end, um, they just had trouble matching up with what they did, what Washington does on offense with Penix and his what trio at least of NFL caliber wide receivers.
Yeah, he's got
So
three.
so I think if Washington's offensive line can stand even toe to toe with Michigan's defensive front and linemen and just give Penix enough time to make a good solid decision where to go with the ball, and then he delivers balls, you know, that are catchable. I could see this one going the same way.
Yeah,
You know, if Penix gets on a roll, he's dang hard to stop.
yeah,
That offense is hard to stop, and they're both teams are very experienced. Both teams have a lot of upperclassmen. I don't think either one of these teams are going to be as good next season as they are this season because I
oh,
think they're both going to lose a lot
and
to
they
the
they
draft
don't. Yeah,
and to graduation, you know. So both of them almost kind of mirror each other a little bit as far as the experience and those, you know, junior, senior, heavy laden junior, senior teams. So they both just know how to win too. When things don't go their way, they dig in and find a way to, you know, turn things around and find a way to win. I mean, Washington did that almost every game of their season. There weren't many games that they had that were complete blowouts in their favor. You know, they were, especially the tougher matchups in their schedule. You know, they just fought and clawed and just found a way to win, kind of like that Texas semifinal game, you know. But anyway,
yeah. I mean, you've got two 5+ year quarterbacks. Penix is in his sixth year. I believe McCarthy's in his fifth, maybe sixth. I don't know. They're
I
just,
think he's only in his third or fourth, actually.
is he?
Yeah, I think so.
But
I have
they're
to look
just,
that up.
but they're
But
both
it's
very
still
experienced,
he's very experienced. He knows he's been around the block.
right? And like you said, up and down both rosters, there's a ton of experience. But what makes this so difficult to pick or predict is it sounds just like us talking about Washington against Texas, right? Can Texas get pressure? Well, can Michigan get pressure now? The Joe Moore offensive, award-winning offensive line in Washington showed up and basically nullified Texas's advantage in the game. So if they're able to do that and just find another way to, like you say, give Penix time, uh, he didn't even have to have all day. I mean, just
No.
just a few seconds to, and those wide receivers,
Well,
they're
he's got to have
legit.
more time than Alabama gave Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and
what I mean. I mean, because Milroe and a lot of his passing plays, I mean, as soon as the ball was snapped, he had a second and a
pressure.
half and his pressure in his face, or he's getting his butt put on the ground.
And to be fair, Milrow is way more athletic than Penix, right? So he can scramble better. If they get that kind of pressure on Penix, it's going to be a lot of sacks too, because he's a little slower moving. He wants to stay in the pocket,
He
but
wants to throw, yeah,
but like I was about to say, those three receivers, all it takes is one of them getting free from somebody, and
yeah, and they're
he's
good
gonna
at
find
it.
them.
Yeah, and they're good at it. So
Uh,
it's hard to make sure you cover all three of those guys every single play.
exactly. You've got, I mean, you can put your best defender on Odunze, but then okay, your second best defender better have Washington's second best, and then your third best got has to have their third best, and they gotta follow him to the bathroom, to the bus. It's got to be every play, and these aren't professionals. These are college players, some fresh out of high school a year ago. So it's like you're relying on, people that aren't perfect, and not that professionals are perfect, but they would have a much better chance at stopping these three receivers. It's easier to see that happening in the NFL than in college.
Okay. Well, saying all that, who do you think wins the game?
You go first.
I'm gonna say that I think Washington wins the game. I'm gonna go Washington. I'm gonna pick Washington. I think it's gonna be um I think once again it's gonna be a tighter game score wise. I think the 3.5 point favorite for Michigan. Um
Well, it opened there, so now it's 5.5.
so it's gone up to 5.5.
Yeah, there's more money coming in on Michigan throughout the week, so I didn't get
I
to
th-
that
I'd,
point.
s- yeah, I still think Washington's gonna play their best game of the season, and I think they're going to win it.
They've definitely got the better quarterback and the better offense, the more potent offense. I mean, Michigan plays more of a pro style game, so they're just going to try to wear you out. Um, if they can establish that kind of a game, I can see them winning. If Washington comes out and they establish it's going to be a track meet and you've got to score 40 to win this national championship, then I don't know if Michigan can go toe to toe with them like that. I mean, McCarthy's shown some times that he can match quarterbacks stride for stride, but you just haven't seen it lately.
Well, I think it's going to be along the lines of mm, probably something similar to what the Texas Washington game was. That's the way I can see this one going very similarly, where Washington gets ahead, stays ahead, and Michigan may make some plays and try to claw back into it. But I think Washington's just going to find a way to hold on and win it. Um, I don't know, say something like 35-28 or something like that.
All right. I've just been going back and forth, and that's kind of why I was like, you go first, but I'll I'll settle on something here and I'll stick with it. I'm just gonna say that Michigan has too many dudes.
Too
If
many dudes.
too many dudes, and what I mean by that is some for some reason, plenty of smarter people than me about football are saying that this Michigan team has a chance to break Georgia's record for draft picks, right? Or at least tie it. Okay. So if that's the case, how do we feel about Georgia the last 2 years? We were just too dominant. we just had too many dudes. We just knew we were gonna roll out there and just wear teams down, and our depth would just come out on top. So I think Michigan finds a way to take some of the air out of the game, make it an uglier game than 35-28. Um, and it ends up being in the 20s, you know, and I'll say 28-25 Michigan, they kick a field goal to win the Natty.
28 to 25.
Yep.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
I then I'll say that by saying, Michigan gets some pressure on Penix and he can't really escape like, previous quarterbacks that they faced. And I think they hold their offense down because they've actually got some good defenders on the back end as well. So,
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out tomorrow night.
yep. Now, I'll be clear, I'll be pulling for the Huskies because I don't want Michigan
Well,
winning
then,
this.
then, then the Dogs would have won three straight championships.
Yeah, we can in a roundabout way say that, right? Um, and
Just from a
also,
different university, but they're still Dogs.
yeah, they're still a breed of
And
dogs, right?
that's even their nickname. They are the Huskies, but you look on their posts and stuff, they call themselves the Dogs, just like Georgia. So,
Yep. Yeah, and they the reason I really don't want Michigan to win is just the narrative around this whole season, right? I mean, it's pretty clear and obvious that they've been cheating.
well,
I,
let's be honest. I think even if they do win it down the road at some point, they're going to have to vacate it.
I really do think so too. I think that this season is going to ultimately be null and void if Michigan pulls it off because it's like, well, you cheated. So,
So let's just say let's hope that Washington takes care of business tomorrow, and then we don't even have to worry about it. They'll have to vacate their wins, but at least they won't vacate a national championship in
yeah,
the process. So, because even if they vacate it, they're always going to say they were 2023 national champions. So, I mean, be honest.
yeah,
They're not ever going to relent and let that go, and maybe they shouldn't. But, I guess time will tell when it comes to that, how that plays out. But I honestly think they're going to end up having to vacate it anyway because the NCAA is still investigating all that crap,
they've
and they
got
haven't
two
come.
investigations.
Yeah, I mean,
Two.
so, yeah,
There's a lot where there's smoke, there's fire. Now, do I understand that sign stealing happens in football? Yes, but
in the
not to the
game,
during the game,
in the game,
not
there's
to the
nothing, and
level
there's no rule against that. If you're not trying to steal your opponent's signals during a game, what
you're
the heck are
dumb.
you doing?
Yeah,
I mean, even when you're out on the field playing, you hear over and over the quarterback calling signals. Eventually, you're on defense. You might pick up on, okay, this phrase means they're going to run to the right,
right.
or they're checking out of a run and going to a pass.
Yep.
That type of thing. Okay, that's fine. What you can't
Oh,
do is have a paid staffer go scout future opponents that are on your schedule
and
or that
and
could possibly end up being on your schedule down the line
mm-hmm.
and record their sidelines
A
and
la,
match it up and say, all right, these signals mean they get in this defense and these signals mean they're in this play on offense. And yeah, that's a no-no. That's against the rules. And that's what they're accused of doing. And if they are found to have done that,
they've
they
all
deserve
but
everything they throw at them in that
yeah,
case.
they've all but been found to, I mean, like the only thing left to do is the NCAA to rule on it. I mean,
So,
there's so much evidence there.
yeah. So
Um,
anyway, I don't want to get bogged down in all that crap, but I just hope Washington saves us all a bunch of trouble going down the line and they just take care of the business tomorrow and win the thing, and then you don't even have to worry about saying, will this one stick? When the NCAA comes out with their findings, are they going to vacate this? Are they truly the national champion? I let Washington win it. Hopefully they do. And then they're the national champion. They're not the ones being investigated. So I don't think there's a very good chance that that's going to happen to them.
Right. Yeah. So go Huskies. Even though I don't
Go dogs.
I don't I don't know. I'm about 51-49 on this game. I really am. I'm just gonna enjoy watching it as a fan tomorrow night. And who knows, we may get on special and
See
break
how
down.
a reaction. Yeah.
Yeah,
See how
do.
if it's see if it's worthwhile.
But
Although
yeah,
it's probably gonna be pretty late again, isn't it? Doesn't it start kind of late again?
they're saying 7:45 kick, so not quite
Okay.
as late as that Sugar Bowl. That was a 9 p.m. kick. So,
Yeah, by the time the other one got finished with overtime, because they're holding that one until after that one, the Rose Bowl was done.
right. So, might actually get to watch this entire game. I did not finish watching the Sugar Bowl. I had to go back and watch the end of it because I just got too tired and I'm like, this isn't my team. So, but
Well, Matthew jumped in the chat just now. Since he's not with us, it's not feeling too good, but I guess he may be watching us and critiquing what we're saying. But he jumps in the chat, says, "Let's go Huskies." So he's on board with that too.
yeah, well, Matthew, go ahead and drop your prediction for everybody out there since you didn't get to give it
Yeah,
tonight.
since you didn't get to say it on the air,
We want
just type it in the chat so we know what you're thinking, how it's going to go, and what you are thinking on the score.
we can do that. Wait for that real quick before we wrap up tonight because I think we're just about
Done.
done here. I will say I think Michigan and Washington matched up a couple of years ago in the regular season.
Did
And
they?
Michigan won. So, but they
Was
have
it in
matched,
Ann Arbor?
yeah. So you should win your home games, right? But um,
Come
and
on,
they have,
Matthew, give us your prediction, buddy. He asked, "What did y'all predict?" Now you just tell us what you think.
yeah, you can go back and watch it later,
You
but
can you can watch it and you can see what we said. We want to know what you think now. Go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
36-24 or 38-27. Who wins
For
though?
who? Oh, you think the Huskies are going to win like that or Michigan?
So he predicts a 10-point game at least.
Yeah, he's got 12 or 11 or 12 points. Who's going to win, Matthew? While we're waiting for him.
He says
Oh, he says
Huskies.
Huskies. Okay, so he's on board with, that's basically a blowout for the Huskies to win. And you're
The
talking
Huskies,
11 or 12 points when they're the underdog by 5.5 right now. That's a big swing.
well,
Big swing.
that would just be what I was saying earlier. If they come out and establish a track meet, I mean, it could get like that because I just don't know if Michigan can keep up or catch up, right? Without
Yeah.
turnovers, without,
Yeah, I mean, if the Huskies do what, like I go back to when Georgia played Michigan in the Orange Bowl.
yeah,
If the Huskies jump on them 14-17 or 21-3, 14-0, 17-0, 21-3, early in the second quarter or something along those lines, I find a hard time thinking of how Michigan comes back and wins that game
unless it's turnovers. I mean,
without
which
without without having help. That's the caveat. Washington would have to turn the ball over, muff some punts on special teams or whatever. something. They'd have to make some mistakes at that point to allow Michigan to have short fields and, easy scores or pick sixes or something along those lines to make it back in that, respect. I think if the Huskies get up 14, 17 points on them, it's pretty much ball game as long as they hold serve and don't make mistakes.
Yeah. Matthew says Michigan doesn't have the DBs to stop the Huskies trio of wide receivers.
Yeah,
That's
we discussed that some too earlier, talking about trying to stop those three receivers that are, I think, pretty much bound for the NFL next season.
they're NFL bound. And yeah, that's a tall task for any secondary. I do think Michigan has good enough DBs and a good enough defensive scheme to help slow them down, though. But I don't. I'm like you, Matthew.
I
If
don't know
it's what,
about if they have good enough DBs. What they have is good enough front seven to try to put pressure on Penix to where it can make it difficult for him to have enough time to get the ball to them in rhythm.
yeah,
They get him, off his spots and get him out of rhythm. That can cause the passing game to be disrupted enough to where, you know, are they going to be able to try to be able to run the ball on Michigan's defense then?
nah,
You know, you just their best path to winning is being able to throw to those guys. That's definitely their strength.
yeah.
So
Although
hope
they have started to run the ball better the last few games, but yeah, their path to victory is throwing it all over the yard.
well they're going to run enough to keep them honest, I would say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so me and Matthew are on the Huskies.
Y'all are on the Huskies, and I want it to be the Huskies, but
Your
I
brain's
just
picking Michigan.
my brain and my eyes are saying Michigan's just the better team.
I was going to say that, but I don't. I'm just not even going to say it. I don't even want to say it. So I'm going Huskies.
I hate
I'm in the
admitting that.
same exact position that you are, but I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah,
So go dogs.
right, right. Well, any final thoughts here to wrap up tonight?
I think that's a good wrap right there. We've discussed it pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to talk about something here real quick that's not um, football related, not it's more personal. So just uh, we had our dog the other night have a an incident where she um, had an accident in the house and then collapsed and find out, she's got had an anaphylactic reaction, which for those of you wondering what that means is just she had an extreme allergic reaction to something. We're not sure what yet. Um, but I've just been dealing with that. It's kind of that's why we didn't have a Friday show, just to let y'all know. And just to keep, her in your thoughts, she's at UGA Vet. I just want to give them a huge shout out right now because they absolutely saved her life. And, I might be biased, but they definitely are one of the best animal care clinics in the world. They've done a tremendous job with her. And it's just, I wanted to get on here tonight because we got the championship tomorrow night and, just to have something to get my mind off of that because it's been a very, very tough weekend for my wife and I. And I do appreciate Dad, you and Mom and Savannah coming up to see us Friday night. So that definitely meant a lot. But it does sound like my dog's name is Athena. She'll get to come home hopefully tomorrow, if not Tuesday, according to the doctors. So she did make pretty vast improvements compared to what the prognosis was when we got there Friday night. But just keep her in your thoughts and prayers. If you think about us, we do appreciate that because it's definitely made it a very, very tough time. We treat our dogs like family and like our children right now. So that's been very tough. So with that, we're gonna get off of here. Everybody, um, have a wonderful evening. Have a great start to your week. Enjoy the national championship. We may be getting on tomorrow to break it down, either halftime or after the game, something like that. So, um, y'all just have a good one. And as always, go
Go
dogs.
dogs.